I'm Mary Sloan, along with my beautiful sister, Narvis Hart.
I'm not Tony, but I'm Narvis.
No. Tony is on vacation. She's in Cancun, and we hope she's enjoying herself. And she better be watching tonight from Cancun just for a little bit now. But we're just glad she got to go and have some time off, and I'm just glad you got to come and be on.
I know, and it was her birthday. She celebrated her birthday,
yes.
right?
Yes. And we want you to know that if you have a prayer request tonight, you can actually go online to WGGS TV and let us know what that is, or get on Facebook. Go to WGGS TV and on Facebook and scroll down and open the program up and just start watching it from Facebook and share it. And you can send us your prayer request via Facebook, and we're going to be praying at the end of the hour. And we know that God's going to do some great things tonight because we have some great guests here tonight that's got some fantastic stories. And before we tell who they are, I'm just going to, well, you know what, let's just go ahead and tell who they are.
Okay.
We have got Don and Jan Dial here tonight, y'all. And we have got Kimberly Sharp over here on to their right. And we're just going to have a great time here tonight. We're going to hear a touching story tonight that you will never forget. So
that's right.
Call your friends and tell them to tune in right now because it's touching. Narvis, you got a scripture too, don't you?
I do, Mary. It's Psalms 147:3, and I was thinking about tonight. You know that so many people are sitting out there with broken hearts.
Right.
And they have gone through so many different things. And our scripture tonight says, He heals the brokenhearted, and He binds up their wounds. And that's what He has done for our guests tonight.
Right.
He is doing that. You know, I even had a child that died, 45 years ago. And over the years, it wasn't an instant thing, but over the years, God has just healed me, healed my broken heart. But today, as I was thinking about this, Mary, I was saying, Narvis, just let that sink in. He heals the broken heart. He heals the broken heart. He heals the broken heart. And He binds up their wounds. And I just said, Lord, the Holy Spirit just spoke to me and said, let that soak in, Narvis. Just let that soak in. Because that's what He does for us.
I know.
And it's like cement. He said, let it cement in your brain that I heal your broken heart.
Right.
And I tell you, it is just wonderful.
And it just fits tonight because we've got a couple here tonight that has had their heart broken.
That's
they
right.
were hurt bad.
Yes.
But we've got a God who binds up the wounds,
I know.
and we get to go forward.
Amen.
Why don't you read a little bit about our couple here tonight, John and Jan Dial?
Well, I'll be glad to, because I love this couple. I knew them back when they were teenagers. But I'm going to read a little bio about Don and Jan Dial. Don and Jan have been married for 35 years. My goodness. Whew. I was just 39 when y'all met me. And they have 5 children and 1 daughter, 3 daughter-in-laws that have blessed them with 7 grandchildren. Jan was a registered nurse for 30 years, and Don has been a building contractor for 35 years. They have a gift for building and designing. And the death of their daughter, Lacey, they walked through a God-ordained open door. Their new adventure is honor of the Lacey Meadow venue on the Cowboy and Angel Ranch in Belton. And Mary and I went down there this past week and saw it, and it was just beautiful. So I remember when y'all were just young and you were just married, and I did the flowers for your wedding.
That's right. Every time I hear we get around people, it's always, Narvis did the flowers for our wedding.
I said I couldn't remember. It's been so long, but 35 years. Thank God. Y'all made it, didn't you?
Amen. With God's strength.
Amen.
Well, Jan, I know that you and Don suffered 8 years ago with the loss of your daughter, and that's what we're going to be talking about tonight. And I just want you to share with our audience about the tremendous loss that you and Don had 8 years ago on September the 15th. It was 2012, wasn't it?
That's right. Yes, it was. It was, and my mind goes back to that. It was in the middle of September.
Yeah.
And it was the most excruciating pain that a mother and a father can ever go through.
Wow.
It's this most excruciating pain that I've ever experienced in my entire life.
Right.
And it's still there. You know, it's you have to walk through it because grief comes in waves. It's like ocean waves.
Right.
And sometimes out of nowhere it will come rolling in, and
when
you least expect it.
That's right.
And all, but it's only through God. There was so many nights that even before we moved out to Belton and we were in Powdersville, and you know, Don would have cried himself to sleep, and then I would just lay there and with earphones in my ear, and Mark Condon sings a song called "Cover Me," and it's a live worship song that song just helped me through so many dark hours of the night that when I thought I wasn't going to make it, and I can't say that I didn't go through you know, times of depression.
Absolutely.
We all do. I mean, we're only human.
We are.
And you just have to take it one day at a time. My grandchildren have been a joy in my life, and I'm so thankful. I mean, because there's so many people that, a couple, the Tucker Hibbs, for instance, he went to school with Lacey, and his mom and dad, that's the only child they had, and they didn't have any other children to turn to. But your family is what helps get you through it.
That's
I mean,
right.
Christ first,
Yes.
and my husband and our children and our grandchildren have truly got us through it.
Oh yes.
And
God knows just how to fill those voids, doesn't He?
Exactly.
Inside of us, I know that He filled many of mine, just like He has you all.
Oh, yes.
And I know that that He is gradually doing it. He's done it for the last 8 years, and it's not an instant thing,
That's
is
right.
it?
That's right. It's such a process.
Yes.
I mean, there's mornings when you wake up with grief, and you've got to make yourself get up.
Right.
You get up, get dressed, put on your makeup. You have to do it because you
Right.
have other people that are counting on you.
Yes.
Because it's so easy to like crawl up in the bed and curl up and not want to face the world. But it's Christ in you, though. I mean, if I wouldn't have had Christ at the time that it happened, I don't know if I would have made it. And I'm just so thankful that
How old was she?
Lacey was 17.
And she was your only daughter, wasn't
Our
she?
only daughter, and our 4 sons.
Wow.
Wow.
And so we had a special bond. Don had 3. We had our first 3 boys, and we finally got a girl. And he called his dad up on the telephone and to tell him about it because we were so shocked to finally get a girl. And then we have our youngest, Josh, too. So our family means everything to us.
I know. And it makes you even draw closer together because you have to lean on one another, don't you?
Oh, most definitely.
Yes.
Most definitely. And that's how
look at
we've
the
got them all moved out to Belton with us now.
I know.
Yeah.
They're right on the grounds with
Yeah,
you.
yeah, we're
She
so
said,
thankful.
That son lives there, that son lives there. And I just made me a little jealous wanting all my kids just moving right around me.
That's a miracle in itself to get them to move from Powdersville to a little town of Belton.
Well, we have some pictures that you gave to us that we wanted to share with the audience. Your family picture, I think it's 8251.
Yeah,
and
wow.
that's your family
And we
there.
have one more since then.
One
Our little
more to
grandson,
the
another
addition.
grandson. Yes.
Oh, that's a
All
beautiful
7 of 'em.
family there. Yes. And then the next one is with Lacey with her crown. Tell us about that.
She's beautiful.
That was Lacey's freshman year. Lacey grew up with all boys, 4 boys, and
wow.
so she was tough. She barrel raced. She loved, the outdoors and animals and everything, and ends up we talked her into, Madison and I talked her into doing the freshman pageant at Wren High School, and she won. We could not believe it when she walked out on stage in that white dress.
Oh,
And I mean, I think she blew her brothers away too because they didn't know she'd dress up that pretty. So,
And we have another one of Lacey, the horse.
yes.
And
Tell
the
us
cloud.
just a little bit about that.
Well, this picture is of Lacey is from the very last beach trip that we went on with the girls that summer before her accident. And I'll tell you how God prepared prepared me that week before her accident. On Thursday night, and God has a way of preparing you before you face something of major trauma. And that Thursday night, my daughter-in-law Arissa and I were standing around cleaning up the kitchen after dinner, and we were just talking about my daughter-in-law Morgan, of how she had lost her brother in a car accident, and 3 months later she lost her mom, and how devastating it was to lose. And that was her only brother, and so it was her dad and her were the only two that were left. And Lacey came in the midst of this conversation, and we were saying, you know, Morgan's just so strong. And Lacey, I can still see her sitting at the end of our island, and said, Mama, if something like that happened in our family, I'd want you to be strong. And it's just those words of Mama, you know, Mama stay strong, has rung in my ears since then. And I'm just so thankful for how God did prepare me. I mean, I didn't even realize what was about to take place. But come Wednesday, the night before, we were standing around that same island in the kitchen, and Lacey said, well, the girls, Madison spent the night. Madison was Lacey's best friend and cousin, and she had spent the night, and she said, Madison, they started telling me about their little pact they had made back in spring of 2012, 6 months or so before the accident. And Lacey said, Madison, they were getting ready in the bathroom, and Lacey said, Madison, what would you send me if Jesus? What would you send me if Jesus would? I'm sorry, y'all. Yeah. But anyway, Lacey said to Madison, she said, Madison, if one of us died before the other, do you think Jesus would let us send something back from heaven as a sign? And Madison said, okay. She's a little bubbly blonde. She said, Lacey, I'll send you a lady dressed in a zebra dress with hot pink hair. That way you know I'm in heaven.
Oh, yeah.
Well, some moments went on, just like I kind of stopped there. And Madison said, Lacey, it's your idea. What you going to send me? And Lacey finally said, Madison, I'll send you a white horse. Because she loved horses. She barrel raced and everything. Well, that was 6 months before, springtime of 2012.
Wow.
Well, that Wednesday night before her accident happened on Saturday, they were talking, we were standing around the bar, and they shared the pact they made with me. Otherwise, I wouldn't have known anything about it. And so the morning of Lacey's accident, a little man had been passing out tracts to Madison's parents' store, a whole little shopping mall there across from Ingalls in Powdersville, and he dropped off this little tract. And Madison, after the coroner gave us the news, Madison got back home and she was praying and crying, and she said, God, I can't wait another day, another hour from that message from heaven from Lacey, or from, you know, from God. And her mom walked through the door within moments of her praying that, laid this little Christian tract in her lap, and guess what was on the front of it? Was that white horse that y'all seen in the picture.
Wow.
Yeah, can you show that picture again?
And that picture was taken, Lacey was born in Greenville, South Carolina. That picture was taken on the little pamphlet, the little Christian tract that it said, this picture was taken in Greenville, South Carolina in September 2011. Exactly 12 months before her accident.
Praise God. You know, God just gives us signs, doesn't He?
Yes, He does.
Yes, yes.
You know, Don, you had a conversation, didn't you, with Lacey before her accident? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, let me preface it with a example.
Okay.
You know the example when he's talking about he's the potter and we're the clay. Well, sometimes we don't realize the things that we're fixing to go through.
Right.
But when it's better to feel His hand on you, pressing you and molding you into what He wants you to be, than not to feel His hand at all.
Yeah, right.
The night before the accident, I think it was the same Wednesday night, wasn't it?
Well, it was Wednesday, so it was.
Yeah, well,
the
Wednesday.
accident was Saturday.
Yeah. me and my daughter, we was sitting around, we was talking about heaven and hell and different things like that. And,
Yeah.
and she said, she looked at me just as serious as can be, and I didn't understand it at the time. And she said, Daddy, I won't live to be old. I said, you know, me being a father, I said, honey, don't talk like that.
Right.
I said, you can't, you know, you shouldn't say stuff like that. That's. She said, no, Dad, I just know I won't live to be old. And it floored me, you know. And then we come to find out, you know, we just keep going through the things, and you keep feeling that pressure on you, but you look back and you see what God had already preordained, whether we like it or not. We, you know, we don't understand why we go through the things that we do, but God does.
That's right.
You know,
That's right.
those He foreknew, He also did predestine.
That's right.
You know, to be conformed. And you know, it's a hard thing sometimes when we're being formed into what He wants us to be. But that's what it was.
Yes. Well, Jan, how was God preparing you for the day before the accident? And also share the comforting story of the hope and inspiration, and how Jesus allowed Lacey to send. Well, he sent the sign back from heaven.
That's right.
Of the
He
horse,
did.
right?
He did. Yes.
Yeah.
And so many signs since then. White feathers, and
Yeah.
and I'll tell a quick little story about the Lacey's. Her junior year, she was gonna wear a white dress again from like that freshman year, and she said, "Mom, I want white feathers on it." And so we had the white feathers added, and the little guy that she was in ag, she wanted to become a veterinarian, and she was in the Future Farmers of America, and the little guy that she was in class with, when he walked her across stage that junior year, and it left white feathers behind. And he said he would pick on Lacey all through ag class and everything, and he said that's a chicken truck dress. He would tell her that. And then when he spoke at for the Future FFA, Future Farmers of America, when they put Lacey's name on the fallen member's jacket, he spoke, and he said, what I wouldn't do to walk that girl across that stage in that chicken truck dress. So we're just so thankful.
Wow. Yes,
for those
yes.
little
Well, you know,
things.
if you're just joining us now, we are talking with Don and Jan Dial, who lost their daughter in an accident, and we've got Kimberly Sharp here with us. It's going to tell us some things about how she and her husband went through this whole thing with them. And what we're going to do now is go to a song called No One Ever Cared for Me Like Jesus. And this is my sister Edith Tripp singing this, one of the most beautiful songs you'll ever hear. Enjoy.
Okay,
Well,
so they're
it
not
didn't go
ready
to
to
the
slap
song.
TV, isn't it? They're getting that song ready. But you know what, Mary? It's just exciting to know that God does heal the broken hearts.
He does.
Doesn't he?
Yes,
And
he's-
he heals those wounds. And I know that there's people out there tonight that He is doing that for,
Right,
don't you?
Right, yes. You know, and I talking about my sister singing this song too, she sent this to us today. We send each other little stuff to encourage us sometime, but she said, do you giggle like your mom and chuckle like your dad? Do you remind everyone of your great aunt? Been told that one time. We tend to look and act like people we're related to, those whom we love. So, are you as kind as the King? Do you love your Lord? Do you give like Jesus? Having your mom's eyes and your dad's smile is great, but when it comes to your heart, God is hoping it looks a lot like His, because He just loves to see your family resemblance.
Yes.
I thought that was so good.
That
So
is.
good. So good.
Because we do.
Amen.
I look in the mirror sometimes and I say, well, hey, Maria.
I mean, I've looked through our photos at times, and I thought you were me and I was you, and we'll go out at times, and people always say, "Are you Narvis Hart?" They'll ask me, "Am I Narvis Hart?" But she gets asked if she's Mary Sloan.
Yes.
I said,
We
"If we
look
look that
so
much
different.
alike, I don't know why they don't say Mary Sloan and Narvis Hart." You know? But anyway,
know.
we love
Oh,
each other, and
wow.
we don't mind a little bit.
That's right.
I think we got that song ready now,
Yes.
and we're gonna hear my sister sing "No One Ever Cared for You Like Jesus."
I would like to tell you what I think of Jesus, for I found in him, oh, he's a friend so strong, and he's true. How he came and he changed my life so completely. He did something that no other friend could ever do. No one ever cared for me just like Jesus. There's no other friend that's so kind as he. And no one else could take this old sin and darkness from me. Oh, how much he cares for me. All my life was wrecked by sin. When Jesus found me, and my heart was full of misery and woe. But this is what Jesus did for me. Then he came and he slipped his loving arms around me, and he led me in the way that I should go. He'll do the same thing for you. No one ever cared for me just like you, Jesus. There's no other friend that's so kind. My Lord, you're so kind to me. And no one else could take this old sin and darkness from me. Oh, how much you really care for me.
Thank you, my sister Edith Tripp. Nobody sings it like you either.
That's right. That's right. That's our sissy.
Well, we're back with Don and Jan Dial and Kimberly Sharp. And Don, I wanted to ask you how your family even coped with all this. What did you do to sort of get your mind on things and be productive? I always like to say be productive.
Well, for about the first, I guess it was 6 weeks, somewhere in there, I just basically stayed in the corner and cried
Yeah,
like a baby.
of course.
I mean, that was my baby daughter, you
Yes.
know. And it was tough.
Yeah.
And but then after the funeral and after some things happened, we decided that we need to make something positive out of something that a tragedy.
Yeah.
So what we did, we began with doing different projects. We started a Lean on Me project, which we did for an elderly gentleman in Williamston, South Carolina. This gentleman's house was just, we all go missionary trips all the time, but there's a mission right here.
Oh, yes.
Okay, this house was condemnable. I mean, it was in such a bad shape.
Wow.
And I don't even know how we come across this gentleman.
He was through home health.
Yeah, through.
Yeah, and he gave us all permission.
Yeah,
you know,
he gave us
and all
permission
that,
to use it.
but all the ANMED nurses, everybody, he fully gave us. There was no HIPAA violation or anything, but he gave us permission to use his name and all that.
His running water, literally, was a hose pipe from the outside stuck in the kitchen sink with a bucket underneath.
Wow.
He had a shower that was a block wall and a trench dug out underneath it to get the, and so we joined. I'm a contractor, that's what I did. So we just joined together and said, hey, let's change this. And I got a bunch of suppliers together that had the roofing, everything needed to be redone on this house. Dino Patterson, you know Dino, I think. They did the vinyl siding on it, and several people. I mean, we probably had what, I don't know,
did the roofing.
50 or 60 people out there working.
Home
on
health
this thing.
nurses and our Cowboys and Angels. They all came together, volunteers, and it was
And that's what's
wonderful.
up over when you first drive up to there. It says Cowboys and Angels Ranch. I love that. Why did you name it that?
Well, Lacey and her boyfriend, their favorite song was Cowboys and Angels. It's a country music song. And in that song it says, was it accident or grand design? There's just something God likes about Cowboys and Angels. So that was, our intention moving to Belton was to start, maybe a ranch with horse therapy and special needs kids and farm animals and do community camps for families there in the community and all. And God has, we've done that. We've done like Santa and Mr. Claus and Santa and Mr. Claus, Mrs. Claus. Oh no. And fall festivals and Easter egg hunt coming up. So we're still trying to be very involved in the community.
And then weddings there.
And then weddings.
It's beautiful for the weddings. Okay, well, wow, the chapel that Don built and it's, what is it called? Is it just called the chapel? It doesn't have the name,
Chapel,
right?
Lacey
But it's
Meadows.
Lacey Meadows venue.
And then you helped a grandfather too, didn't you? Did you help a grandfather who was a minister?
Yes, we did. There's several people that we helped, but the grandfather was he autistic? The son?
No, special needs
special
grandson,
needs.
and he was the pastor was the primary caregiver of his grandson, and so Don and the guys, and we got more volunteers, and I will mention Tony Lindsay. and
Yep.
Judy. Tony passed away this week, but he was one of the cowboys that came out and helped us finish up that house. And Brandon had always wanted an Elvis Presley room, so we had all kind of people donating. We had Elvis Presley LP albums we put on the walls, and lots of Lacey's friends and her brothers, and so many people came together and got that.
Now you have a
made him
big
happy.
Christmas thing there too, don't you?
We do, yes.
That
With
was-
Santa
I cannot
and
imagine.
Mrs. Claus.
Mrs. Claus, yeah, for sure.
With Santa and Mrs. Claus.
Yeah.
So it was a really good time. This year was our first time,
Oh.
and also we look forward to many more.
And so you have all the animals. Do the children go up and pet the animals?
do.
And
They do,
And all,
yeah. And we had a live nativity scene.
Oh,
So this year we had live Mary and Joseph
Yeah.
and everyone, but this year coming we're planning to help incorporate all the live animals
Good.
in with it as well.
Good.
So,
Oh, the people's just got to go
I
out
know.
there.
I thought
Yeah.
you just don't know. Narvis kept telling me about this, and I just was blown away at the beauty there.
I said,
so
Mary, we
thankful.
just got to go down there. You got to see it. So when you interview them, you know what you're saying
Right.
to them. But Jan and Don, what was it like when you met the paramedic, Anthony Sharp?
such a relief. Anthony, we had heard of him, you know, three people, it was small community, Wren community, we heard about Anthony being in the car with Lacey, but we had never met him. It was years later before we ever met him, and we were just so thankful to actually meet the man that had actually been with her for all that time. The last person that was with her, you know, talking, and Anthony had actually told us when we met him that he was the last friend she made here on earth. So, you know, we were just so relieved because none of our boys, we lived close by where the accident was.
And it was a
but
car accident.
It was a car accident, a single car accident, and we're just so thankful that her brothers didn't come up on the scene, because I don't
Yeah.
know if they would have been able to handle it, but God put just the right man was Anthony there
Yeah.
in the car.
Yes.
And one thing I want to, before we go into that, is just to mention, through all our pain and everything we went through, we stayed busy, but we felt that it was always good to reach out of ourselves, pour out of ourselves to help others that couldn't return the favor or, you know, return any kind of anything back to us. So we found healing through helping others that were hurting.
Yeah.
But back to Anthony. Anthony is an amazing gentleman and an amazing wife he has there. And we took for granted, we didn't realize how much he also went through.
Yes.
And we're just so thankful for this family.
Well, we're going to be sharing a video just shortly of him, and, you know, in other words, when he is shown on this video, he was at his own daughter's wedding.
That's right.
And just had the wedding and had given his daughter away, and they were the first ones
They were.
to have a wedding there.
Yes.
Is that not incredible?
It is.
That was just amazing, Kimberly, that you were able to have your daughter's wedding, and to know that you were able to give life back
That's
to
right.
others.
Oh, yeah.
And you do that by opening up your place to...
It is, by sharing love, because that's the
Yes.
only way you can get through pain and tragedy is through showing love. And
Right.
we were so thankful that day. I had actually not met Kimberly until that particular day that Anthony brought her out to the ranch, and we just hit it off from right then. And they were like,
Right.
"It's so peaceful here," and they told me about their daughter being engaged, and they said, "Oh, it would be so nice for her to get married here." And we walked around and found the perfect spot, and more and more happened since there.
And then
So-
Don built the
the
chapel.
chapel, yes.
Yeah, I said, wouldn't it be nice to have a little chapel here? And they said, yeah.
He just wants to build.
That's where it began.
You are
Yeah.
amazing, man.
We did not start off to be a wedding venue.
Yeah.
We started off to be for special needs kids and
Yeah.
people that, there's just something about you can put a child that's been abused or, you know, just been through some things in their life, and you can take them and put them on a 1,200-pound animal, and they can take them reins and they can just move them anywhere they want to, and they can make that animal do what they want. There's something there.
Yeah.
Well, good. Well, we're going to go to that video now,
Yeah,
Mary.
this is the video.
Anthony Sharp, and he is at the reception of his daughter's wedding.
A little bit of story of the history of how we became to be friends. Just bear with me. September 15th of 2012, I was at work. I'm a paramedic and have been for well over 20 years. Sitting at the station like any other day, and I receive a call for a motor vehicle accident. Well, I get out there and we respond like we always do, and I find a silver SUV that had rolled over into a pole. Well, little did I know that this accident would be part of what would change my life forever. I had access through the back window, climbed in, and this very beautiful young lady, you know, she was talking to me, you know, was trying to calm her, comfort her, figuring out how we needed to do, realize, you know, she was entrapped in the vehicle, figure out what we needed to do to extricate her. I'm the paramedic that was inside with her, taking care of her, and while my other colleagues, other medics, firemen, stuff like that were rescue personnel was figuring out the best way to extricate her from the vehicle. It was a very challenging, a very complicated extrication. Speaking with her and just getting to know her a little bit, just talking with her, you know, trying to help keep her calm and just trying to reassure her, things like that. Learned, you know, she told me her name, you know, she's a Wren High School senior, and just talking, just trying to calm with her. Then I kind of had to kind of put myself in a position to kind of help hold her up into the vehicle because of the way we were positioned, it was on its side. And I kind of put her head on my chest and was just there just talking to her, you know, just trying to keep her calm while we were doing what we were doing. Sorry. We were together for almost 2.5 hours. And it was typical September weather. It was hot. We finally was able to free her from the vehicle, and as we were trying to get her, during the time we were trying to get her out of the vehicle, she took her last breath talking to me with her head on my chest. I had a hard time for a long time. You know, you have thoughts go through your head wondering, you know, what could I have done different? What did I do wrong? Did I do anything wrong? You know, you go from one side blaming yourself to wondering, you know, what could I have done? But knowing, you know, in my heart, you know, the good Lord gave me the skill, you know, we've done everything we could, bottom line. After she passed away, you know, I started to struggle with sleep and some depression and function, stuff like that, realizing that a lot of colleagues and doctor friends were telling me, you know, form PTSD. Had problems functioning at home, at work, a job that I'd been with for many years. It was coming to a point, I felt like it was finally time that I needed to make some changes. You know, it was this call and several other calls that I had worked in the years of being a medic.
Feels like heaven when the master arrives. Some were crippled, others blinded, some were weary, and some were grieved. At the sight of the master, so gladly they received. There were those who never spoke a word. Somehow he knew their heart's desire. And the sinners seeking low, they were lifted from the mire. When the master arrives, there is healing. When his presence comes by, there's healing for the body, for the mind, the soul He satisfies. It feels like heaven when the Master arrives. There were those so glad to see Him, they went running to His side. But those who walked an evil road, they cast Him from their side. Many begged forgiveness, but some just scorned His name. Oh, but all who called Him Master, they have never been the same. When the Master arrives, there's healing. Oh, His presence comes by, there's healing. For the body, for the mind, the soul He satisfies. It feels like heaven when the Master arrives. For the body, for the mind, the soul He satisfies. It feels like heaven when the Master arrives.
I love that song, When the Master Arrives. That's written by Sandy Knight, and we all love you tonight, Sandy
Yes,
Knight.
yes.
We know you've been through a lot lately, and you've been in our prayers daily, and we know we're all going to help you get through this, and
That's
we're
right.
there for you anytime you need us.
Yes, yes.
We, as before this song, you had seen Anthony Sharp do the video about how he was there when Lacey had the accident, and he spent about 2.5 hours with her, you said, before she finally passed. But you know, and they've gone through, he and his wife have gone through some things, and with that couple working with Don and Jan Dial, and you know, just being able to be with each other and talk to each other and lean on each other, then they've been able to face each day ahead. But we have got with us tonight Kimberly Sharp, who is Anthony's wife, and let's give her a hand tonight over here in this seat. Thank you, Kimberly, for being with us. And I'm going to read a little bio on you, Kimberly, if that's okay. Kimberly Sharp and her husband Anthony have been married for 9 years. They have 4 children together and 1 grand on the way. Anthony spent 25 years as a paramedic. Kimberly is a full-time faculty member at Tri-County Tech and a part-time musician and kids church coordinator and part-time doctoral studies student. So, did I get it right?
Yes, ma'am.
I hope so. And Narvis, tell us a little bit about what you're going to be talking to Kimberly about.
Well, you know, Kimberly, tonight our program's been a tribute to Lacey Dial, and that she was in a car accident, and you're the wife of the man, Anthony, that was right there with her, that ministered to her as she was taking her last breath. And so I just wanted you to just share whatever at the end of your husband talk there, or now what it is like to be married to a paramedic. What was it like for him during that time?
Well, for Anthony, it is just in his blood that he's a paramedic. He's no longer on the truck. He's working for the hospital system now, but he is still in the role of caring for people. The one thing that I can say about him is that he never turns it off.
And he had to work tonight, or
he did. True to fashion, he is on shift tonight. But he never turns it off. Even when we would take family vacations, if there was an accident along the way, we were going to stop, and the kids were always in the back seat. We're on vacation. But he doesn't know, there's not an off switch for him. He cares all the time. And part of that is because he's a paramedic, and part of that is just the man that he is. He just cares about everybody. That's just who he is.
I would think you'd have to be when you're out there as a paramedic to care for people.
Absolutely, absolutely. And that being said, sometimes not having an off switch is kind of detrimental to him, because you know, we hear a lot right now about self-care and things like that, and Anthony has never practiced anything like that. Never had a time to decompress or work through feelings and things like that. And you know, at the time that the accident happened, we were starting to hear a little bit more about PTSD and things like that, but it wasn't something that was widely known or widely received. He almost felt ashamed for some of the feelings that he was feeling. And
he started having that after this accident, right?
He did. He really internalized a lot of that accident. It still stays with him. If I'm being completely honest right here, he, you know, he's learned how to work through some of his feelings and some of his grief, but it still lingers. But it did start around the time of the accident, and it progressively got worse over weeks and months and years.
So a lot of times we don't even think about the person that went out to help the person, you know, because our mind are on the other that passed. But your husband probably went through a lot of grief process, didn't he?
He did, and he went through a lot of that, like I said, independently. I mean, he had God, he absolutely had God, but he didn't share with me a lot of the feelings that he was having. He didn't share with colleagues. There was kind of an unwritten code that you don't let your emotions be shown, and that sort of thing. But it did. It started to impact him, and it started to change him as a person. When Anthony and I met, when we fell in love, he was a carefree, happy-go-lucky kind of guy, and I started to see that change. I started to see things bother him, and I started to see him pull away from his family, who he loved so much, and that concerned me.
Oh yes. Well, how could positive outcomes result from this trauma?
So one of the things, you know, and Jan and I were texting earlier today about how there's a reason, and there's everything that happens is for a reason, and it happens in a specific time. And we've had to just understand that was the case with this as well. It was a very traumatic experience, but from that traumatic experience, our family has been extended. We now have, we now have Jan and Don in our lives, and we didn't have them before. And what we can't see through a TV screen is their spirits. We can't see how they minister and reach out in love to so many people. And they did that with our family. They went above and beyond anything they had to do, by all means.
How is healing made possible through all this?
So what started healing for Anthony was there was a court case involved with Lacey's accident, and he received a subpoena to go to court. He started losing some sleep over that subpoena because he had never met Jan or Don. There had been phone calls that had come through that Jan had asked to talk to Anthony, and he just couldn't do it. Like I said, he felt like he was a failure. He felt like he had failed them because he didn't he wasn't able to save Lacey. So he put off meeting with them and put off meeting with them. And then when the day came that the court case arrived and he went to testify, I wasn't there personally, but Anthony telling me about it after the court hearings those days, Jan and Don went to Anthony and introduced themselves, and I think there was even hugging. I don't think it was like a handshake or anything like that. I think it was immediately hugs and tears, and it was healing for them, but it was healing for Anthony as well.
Yeah.
Because it started to heal his heart and heal what he had felt like he had failed them. He had felt like, you know, he was starting to doubt his calling in life of helping people, and all of that started to subside by just the orchestration of God bringing them together on that day. A devastating day, a traumatic event, but nonetheless God's love was there.
Yeah.
Right. Well, Jan, as parents, what have you seen that has come out of all of this?
Well, I know that day in the middle of September that God placed Anthony there in the car to comfort Lacey and be there for her when none of us could, were able to. And we know that he was there for a reason. And then when they visited the ranch and we allowed their daughter to get married there, and I picked out the spot because it kind of sloped down to the pond, and it was so pretty and peaceful, and they loved it. And then Don said, well, I can just build a little chapel here, and COVID hit last year, and they ended up having a small ceremony with just family and friends inside the little chapel, and then they came back in August. That was March, and then they came back in August and had Noelle wore a full wedding dress and her wedding party, and the full wedding outside the chapel in the front of it. So it was a beautiful. So it was the first wedding in the chapel and the first wedding in front of the chapel.
That is amazing. That is just amazing.
God's brought a lot of healing. A lot of healing. Full circle, though.
I think we got some pictures as you keep talking.
Yeah.
Go ahead, keep talking. But we want you to show these pictures. The entrance to the Cowboys and Angels.
That's
the Cowboys. That's when you first drive in.
When we turned in there, I said, "Oh my goodness!"
Beautiful. Yes,
Beautiful.
yes. And then the next one is the Lacey Meadow venue. That's the bridge where you have the receptions.
Yes.
And
You built that, Don?
I did.
Yes.
Me and my
With some help.
Yes.
And then he has a dance floor off of that right there at the lake.
Bridge.
And what's the next one?
The chapel.
There?
The chapel.
The chapel with Don and Jan.
Y'all look so cute.
And then I think there's a close up of the
And that little
chapel.
chapel seats how many?
It seats. It has 6 church pews, so it seats about 30.
Wow, I didn't know it till I went in.
Yeah.
But
It's
then
so
on the
cute.
outside, you set up the seats for larger
Large
crowds.
church pews, chairs.
And then you have this little doorway that you walk through right there as you're going
yes,
up, right?
And my cousin designed that, so it has those double French doors leading down into the meadow. Have lace on them, so appropriate for Lacey.
Oh,
So
yes,
that's Debbie Smith. That's my cousin. We're like sisters, and then we have the first dance dock that's there off the covered bridge
Yes.
for
the
the bride
just
and groom
neat.
to do
Yes.
their first dance.
And the
all too.
wood that you were telling me about, the branches, tell us about that.
Well, on the first dance dock is
Yes.
Mountain Laurel.
Mountain Laurel.
So we went to a sweet lady's property in North Georgia and cut down the
That was so
the
pretty.
wood,
That was
and it
so
only
neat.
grows on the north side of the mountain.
Yes, that was just neat.
Yeah.
Well, Don, what did you say when you knew who was getting married there?
the first time,
Yeah,
we were thrilled.
yeah.
We really were. It was another avenue that we could give out, and that's what we're about.
Right.
We're about giving, and
Yes.
like I said before, we didn't start this thing to be a wedding venue, but if that's the way God has it,
Yeah.
that's where we're going.
Right.
But we also going to have an arena for kids,
Right.
like we spoke before,
Yeah.
and that's the avenue. The money, any money that comes in from the wedding goes towards that.
Oh, okay.
Amen.
That's wonderful.
was
Because
just-
both of them such a great work.
So good to have all y'all on here tonight. Oh,
I know.
My,
Can I
my.
mention one last
Yes,
thing?
yes.
The morning of the funeral of Lacey, I just want to, this was God in it totally, is I didn't know if I was going to be able to pull myself together for the funeral. Well, it ends up, in the shower, the Lord dropped in my spirit that I will make you and Don a father and mother to many. And we believe the brides and
Yes.
grooms that come through our doors
Yeah.
are sons and daughters.
Well, we just
Amen.
bless y'all
Amen.
tonight. I just
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
thank you for all you do for so many
No.
people, and we were just glad just to be with you that day. And we got about a minute left. We're going to be going off. We're going to come back in the 9 o'clock hour, and we've got a guest that you're really going to hear a little bit, not about this story, but her story about how she came through addiction, and she's on the right track and getting ready to do some great things.
And
right
they
now,
even
too.
know her.
Yes, they do.
Yes.
She grew up
So,
with it.
yes, I tell you, and to see how God has healed the broken hearts.
Amen.
Here, your
that's what
husband,
He does.
Anthony, and you all, praise God.
And
We
if
just
you're
thank God.
brokenhearted today, just know there's a healing coming for you. You just
Yes.
believe it in the name of Jesus. Thank you for joining us here tonight. We've had a great night.
Yes.
And just keep this family in your prayer because they're doing some great things.
Amen.